What's up, y'all? It's your boy. I just got out the gym. I'm lit. I'm actually really tired. I'm not lit. But I wanted to tell y'all something I heard yesterday. So I was on the phone with my dad. I was telling him some stuff that I had going on, and I was just struggling with some stuff, and I needed some encouragement. And he told me about what he had learned in church that day, or not learned, I guess, like just what he had heard and what was so good. And it encouraged me so much. So I just want to share it with y'all. But I was telling him what I had going on, and he was like, yeah, like, dude, let me tell you, today in church, basically we went over something that I think can really apply to this situation. And what they went over in church, the series title was like, Let God Cook. It is just like, funny to try and lure people in. But the pastor was preaching, and he was explaining, he's saying, listen, like, we are going to have struggles in life. We're going to have bad things in life. And he was explaining it in the sense of baking a cake. And what he was saying was like, listen, and apparently I wasn't there obviously, but in the service, like, he brought all these items to bake a cake onto the stage. And so he had a stick of butter, he had some salt, he had some flour, he had a little bit of oil, like, he had all of this stuff up there. And he took a bite out of each one, or drank, or whatever. So like, he bit the stick of butter, and he, I guess, inhaled flour. I don't even know how you do that. And what he was saying was like, listen, these things by themselves do not taste well, and are not what I would want them to be. But if you give these things to the chef, and if you let the chef pick all these ingredients, there's going to be a cake. And what he was like just trying to say was like, these things in your hands, there's two things. These things in your hands will go nowhere, and they'll all just be individual bad things. And when you combine them, they taste even worse probably. But in the hands of the chef, in the hands of God, he'll make a cake. And it was just so simple but so good. But what was even better was looking at it in this way of, the chef has all these ingredients, and he may choose ingredients that make no sense to you why he would choose them. You're not the chef, bro. Like, you're not the chef. And what we like to do sometimes is like, oh, this is an ingredient, let me take it. And we take it, and it's like the oil or something, and then you drink oil because it looked appealing, and now you have oil in your system, and it's terrible, and it's not delicious at all. And so, like, we're gonna have seasons of life where we do things we shouldn't do, or because of sin things happen, and that might be the oil, and that hurts for a little bit. And season that, like, man, that might be the salt, and that hurt for a little bit. Or seasons like, oh my goodness, bleh, about just choked on that, that's some flour, like. But ultimately, God, at some point, if you give those ingredients to God, God is just building these things up. And while individually they may hurt, and individually you may have seasons of your life, or times in your life, or events and things that happen in your life that feel like salt, or that feel like flour, or that feel like vinegar, ultimately God's going to use all those bad ingredients for good, because he's going to make a cake out of it. And it was so encouraging. Obviously, I'm telling y'all this not in the best way, because I wasn't even at the message, so I'm just relaying what Dad kind of relayed to me. But like, it was so encouraging, because he was like telling me, he's like, listen, Hayden, your situation right now, yeah, it might feel like salt. It may even feel as bad as like inhaling the flour, but it's an ingredient for the cake. And at some point, God is going to continue to build up these ingredients. Some of them may be great ingredients, some of them maybe ones that you didn't even want him to include, but they're necessary for the cake. And he will use all of these things that may individually seem bad, collectively for good, because he can't help but do it, because he loves us. And so it just turned my perspective in such a good way of like, man, I'm gonna be thankful for the butter and the sprinkles that go to the cake as individual ingredients, but I'm also gonna be thankful for the vinegar and the oil and the flour and the salt and all of the things that you would have to do to throw into the cake that aren't gonna be fun. I'm gonna be thankful for those too, because ultimately it's still leading to the cake. And it was just so encouraging. And so I challenge y'all, like, you may have a season of life right now that feels like the salt. You may have a season of life right now that feels like the sprinkles. But when you have those seasons that feel like whatever ingredient in the cake that you would not like the most, it's still building towards the cake, and God can't help but use it for good. And if you put those ingredients, instead of taking them and snatching them and using them and making these bad things happen, leave those ingredients in the hands of the chef and let him figure it out, because he knows what he's doing. And so, yeah, that's my encouragement. And also, as it's Thanksgiving, like, be thankful, like I just said, for all of it, because it is building to a cake. And that's why thankfulness is so important, because it changes your perspective. And so, like, I am in a season right now that has been a struggle, that has been all these things, but the King of the universe is awake. Like, the King of the universe is awake. And so I there's no way, like, oh my gosh, yeah, there's no way that I could be sad, that I could be messed up, that I could be all of these things about whatever a hard season looks like, because the King of the universe is awake. And until that sacrifice doesn't count for me, until God starts looking at your boy again instead of looking at Christ in me, and until Tetelestai, it is finished, unless it goes unfinished and gets redone, and that veil gets buttoned back up and it's not torn anymore, and Colossians 2:14, the record's not canceled anymore, and God brings it back out of some magical file, unless that happens, I'm going to be thankful in any season, and I'm going to be joyful in any season. And that's not me saying exactly that I'm perfect at it. That's saying the goal and the reality of where my heart and my hope and all of my marbles should be is in him. Because whatever's going on, no matter how bad it is an ingredient to the cake. And he can't help but use it to make a beautiful, awesome, amazing cake. So I encourage y'all with that. I know that was a little all over the place, but God's going to use all the bad ingredients of your life for good. And it was really cool how he used the chef analogy of making a cake. But yeah, so I encourage y'all. With that. I couldn't help but share that. And I probably didn't word any of this the best, because like I said, I was not even at the message. And me and Dad talked for 2 hours last night, and that was just a little part of it. But I hope that can encourage you in some way, that God can't help but use those bad things in life. And some of them are bad things. Some of them actually are just terrible, bad things, for good. And it's all about our perspective on how we're going to view the things that we have going on. And thankfulness is what will help you view your situations and your seasons of life in the right way, which is through God's eyes instead of yours. Because we see right in front of us. God sees the bigger picture way down the road, and he sees the cake that has to bake, and the ingredients that get thrown into it. We just see the butter and the vinegar and the salt and all this stuff, and we're just like, bro, this looks disgusting. He's making a cake, and it's gonna be awesome. But we got to be patient enough and stop snatching these ingredients and trying them individually and saying, well, that's terrible and that's terrible. But you weren't meant to try them individually. Let him put it all together. So yeah, I'm gonna keep yapping about it if I don't stop. But I just thought it was so cool, and it fit perfectly to my situation of like, I'm just gonna let God do what he wants to do, and I'm gonna be thankful, and I'm gonna remember that as long as that sacrifice counted for me. And now Romans 8:1, there is therefore now no condemnation for all those found in Christ Jesus. As long as that's true for me, I'm gonna let him bake. I'm gonna let him cook, you know? I'm gonna let him do all this stuff, throw all the ingredients he's gotta throw in there, because I know I'm gonna come out with a cake. And so, yeah, I encourage y'all with that. But, yeah, and happy Thanksgiving, because I don't know if I'll post another video by then or not. I don't know. I just kind of do these things when things happen. I don't really plan anything or do any of it. So yeah, I hope y'all have a great Thanksgiving. I love y'all. Be thankful. Be thankful. I'm pretty sure that's like 1 Thessalonians 5:17. No, that's pray without ceasing. It's maybe 18. I don't know. In 1 Thessalonians it says that always, like, be thankful about everything. Always be thankful. And that's probably because God's making a cake in your life. So I love y'all. All the places, all the people, all the stuff, all the things with the people and the things, and yeah, all the stuff that I could say about loving y'all. I love y'all. And most of the people that watch are either family or close friends. So I love y'all. But if you're not one of those, I do really, really love you. And Jesus loves you more than I ever could. So Give him a shot if you haven't already, and if you have, continue to walk with him. Yeah. I love y'all. Peace out. Rainbow.